Okay, good afternoon and welcome to today's presentation on claiming the 2021 expanded child tax credit this fall and beyond. So just quickly, this is a initiative, a program, and outreach effort in collaboration with the Coalition on Human Needs and the Partnership for America's Children. My name's Alini. I'm officially with the Coalition on Human Needs, but working in partnership with both organizations to get this information out to communities across the country. The Coalition on Human Needs is an alliance of national groups, service providers, faith groups, policy experts, and labor, civil rights, and other advocates. Their mission is to advocate at the federal level to meet the needs of people with low incomes and increase knowledge of positive outcomes from current or proposed programs. The Partnership for America's Children has over 50 members of multi-issue child advocacy organizations across 40 states, and their mission is to support its network of state and community child advocacy organizations in effective advocacy. So what is the expanded child tax credit? Just to do a quick refresher, so the 2021 expanded CTC meant more money and more families eligible to receive this money. So previously the CTC had been set at $2,000 per child claimed. With the 2021 expansion, that amount was raised to $3,600 per child ages 0 to 5 and $3,000 per child ages 6 through 17. And the age limit was also raised from 16 to 17 as well. There's no minimum income requirements. Families with no earned income are eligible for the full credit. The credit is fully refundable, meaning families are eligible for the full amount, even if they don't owe taxes. And families were eligible to receive half of the CTC in 2021 and half when they filed their taxes this year, or the full credit if they did not get advance payments in 2021. We'll get into this a little bit more and what this means now that we're in fall of 2022 and post-tax season, and how our family is able to either still claim the full credit or the half of the credit if they didn't do so already by filing their tax returns earlier this year. So how much money is actually at stake? This is just a great example of how much money can actually be on the table for a family. So we have a family with a 2-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 7-year-old child. In total, for the 2021 CTC, the family would receive $10,200. And this doesn't include other additional money through other payments like other state or federal tax credits or stimulus payments that the family might be eligible for. And who is eligible for the 2021 CTC and how do they claim it? So an adult must have an adult can have a social security number or a ITIN or an individual taxpayer identification number, but children must have social security numbers, and those social security numbers must be eligible for employment. The dependent can be the adult's child, including adopted, grandchild or stepchild, a younger sibling, step sibling, half sibling, or their descendant, or a foster child placed by a government agency. The dependent must have lived with the adult in the U.S. for more than half of the year. There's some exceptions to this around babies born in the second half of 2021, but that essentially means the child must have lived with the adult for at least 6 months in a day. It doesn't have to be consecutive, but it does have to equal up to 6 months in a day within the year. And the dependent did not provide over half of their own support in 2021. And how do families claim the 2021 CTC? So as mentioned earlier, in 2021, most families automatically received advanced CTC payments of $250 to $300 per child per month from the time period of July through December of 2021. Families who were not required to file taxes or didn't do so in 2019 or 2020 for other reasons had to take steps to receive the advance payments. So this means that those families who hadn't filed for whatever reason those previous years most likely did not receive automatic payments, those automatic payments between July and December of 2021. And then when it came time for tax filing season this year, everyone needed to file a tax return to receive the second half or the full amount of the 2021 CTC. So families who got the automatic payments in the fall still had to file a tax return this past spring to get the second half of the payments. And families who didn't either go onto the non-filer portal, getctc.org, which we'll also talk about, or just didn't receive anything at all, would have had to go through and file a full tax return to receive the full amount of the expanded CTC. So most importantly, the biggest message we have right now for everyone is that even though tax day has passed, families can still claim the CTC. So individuals with no or low income can generally still file their taxes without penalty. If they are required to file, but are due a refund from the IRS, they can also still file without penalty. And individuals have 3 years to claim any tax credits they are owed. So this means that the IRS gives a 3-year look back. So essentially these tax credits will be on the table for families to claim through tax season 2025. So let's talk about getctc.org to start with. So it is a simplified filing tool that helps individuals claim the CTC and the third stimulus payment. It's created by Code for America and it's an IRS-approved official e-file provider. It's available in English and Spanish. It's mobile-friendly, has chat support available, and it's open through till November 15th of this fall, November 15th, 2022. So who can use getctc.org to claim the 2021 CTC? So individuals must not have yet filed a 2021 tax return. So if somebody has filed a tax return, even if they didn't claim the CTC on it, they can no longer use getctc.org, and we'll talk about what they can do instead in a little bit. They must have made under $12,550 as a single person, or $25,100 if they're married filing jointly in 2021. They must have earned less than $400 in self-employment income. They have to have a social security number or an individual taxpayer ID number. Again, children that they claim need to have social security numbers. They must have lived in the 50 states or DC or on a US military facility. And they did not have advanced premium tax credits. These are credits received to help lower your monthly health insurance payments. And most people would know if they had those. You usually claim those by filing or getting a plan through a health insurance exchange. So getctc.org, there we have a demo video that I'm going to play right now that walks you through how to use it. And we'll also share the link and all of that in the follow-up email with all the resources for that as well. Let me just stop sharing my screen for just a second.
This video will show you how to use the 2022 edition of Code for America's simplified tax filing portal, GetCTC. GetCTC allows families without a tax filing obligation to file a simplified 2021 tax return to access the child tax credit and the third stimulus payment. GetCTC e-files a simplified return directly with the IRS. It's mobile-friendly, accessible, available in both English and Spanish, and chat assistance is available at any point in the process. People without children can use it too, just to access the third stimulus payment. This is what GetCTC looks like at our launch in May 2022. Note that we constantly update the tool in response to user feedback, so it may look a little different later in the year. First, GetCTC will go through a few steps to confirm that it's the right tool for me. The tool asks first how I'm filing my return, single or married. Then the tool confirms that the IRS allows me to use simplified filing, since households with higher incomes or other special circumstances, like self-employment income, are required to file a full return. If, for example, I'm not sure what counts as self-employment income, additional information is available below. GetCTC will then warn me that I could get even more money by filing a full return, since I can't get the EITC or state credits from this tool. To get the first two stimulus payments, I would have to file a 2020 tax return. Those who choose to file a full return or back taxes are sent to get your refund, which allows families to file using VITA services. For now, I'll opt to continue with this tool. Next, GetCTC will ask me a few other questions to confirm I'm eligible to use the tool. It lists a few additional and rare scenarios that GetCTC does not support, and will ask whether I already filed a 2021 return this year. If I already submitted a return, the IRS would reject a new one I filed through this tool. Then, GetCTC will confirm I lived in the 50 states, DC, or a U.S. military facility last year, since overseas and territory residents are currently not eligible to use simplified filing. Finally, it will confirm that no one can claim me as a dependent, since that would make me ineligible for the CTC and stimulus checks. I've now confirmed I'm eligible to use GetCTC. In the next section, GetCTC asks for some basic information about me. I'll enter my name, date of birth, and social security number. Note that I could also enter an ITIN. As required by the IRS, GetCTC asks for my phone number. It also asks if I was a member of the Armed Forces in 2021, since that could impact the amount of my recovery rebate credit. As required by the IRS, GetCTC asks if I am legally blind. Finally, GetCTC asks me to agree to the privacy policy. Then the tool will check if I filed a 2020 return. If I did, GetCTC would collect my 2020 adjusted gross income, which the IRS requires from filers for authentication purposes. In this case, I'll say that I didn't file last year. On this page, we ask clients the contact method we can use to best reach them. Note, GetCTC does not require clients to create an account and does not require them to have an email address. Clients simply have to sign up using their email or their phone. In this case, I'll choose to sign up by phone. GetCTC will send me a 6-digit code that I must enter to confirm it's mine. For the purposes of this demo, I'll enter a fake code on this page. Note that if I don't finish my return in one sitting, I can log back in and continue using this contact method. Next, if I were filing married, GetCTC would collect needed information about my spouse, their name, date of birth, social security number or ITIN, and 2020 adjusted gross income, if applicable. In this case, I'm filing single, so GetCTC will skip this section. In the next section, GetCTC allows me to list my 2021 dependents. Rather than assume I've read all the tax rules, GetCTC asks me all the key questions I need to answer to make sure I can claim my dependents. Keep in mind that the pages clients see in this section very much depend on the answers they provide. First, I'll enter my dependent's basic information: name, date of birth, relationship to me, and SSN or ATIN. We ask about one specific scenario to confirm basic eligibility. Next, GetCTC will ask me to confirm a few more criteria. If at any point my dependent doesn't meet the main criterion, GetCTC will ask whether one or more valid exceptions apply. Behind the scenes, GetCTC will determine which credits my dependent is eligible for. Finally, GetCTC will show me a list of my dependents, including whether they are eligible for CTC or only for the third stimulus payment. I can keep repeating this process until all my dependents are recorded. For now, I'll say I only have one dependent. In the next section, GetCTC will determine my credit amounts. First, GetCTC will figure out how much CTC I can claim. The IRS requires families to report how much advanced CTC they received last year and subtract this from their total credit. GetCTC makes this process easier by calculating how much families should have received based on the dependents they provided earlier. I can say that I got this amount, a different amount, or no payment at all. In this case, I'll say I got the estimated amount. GetCTC calculates the remaining CTC available to me. Next, GetCTC will figure out how much recovery rebate credit I can claim, that is, the third stimulus payment. As with the CTC, the IRS requires families to report how much they received last year. Again, GetCTC will display how much I should have received based on my family structure. In this case, I'll say I got a different amount. GetCTC will ask me to enter what I received and provide some tips about where to find this information. I'll say in this case that I received $200. GetCTC will then let me review the amount I'm claiming. Finally, GetCTC will collect my payment information and allow me to review and submit my return. I can select direct deposit or a mailed check. In this case, I'll select direct deposit. GetCTC asks me to confirm that my name is on the bank account, so the payment is not rejected. I'll provide my routing number and my account number. And finally, we'll have the chance to confirm my information. The IRS also requires that I provide my mailing address. GetCTC allows me to enter identity protection pins for anyone in my family who has one, and provides more information about what an IP pin is. I'll say that no one in my family has an IP pin. Now, I can review all the information I've submitted and go back to edit anything that's wrong. On this page, as required by the IRS, I set a 5-digit PIN that I can use to authenticate when I file next year. On the next page, I'll see a final summary of the payments I am claiming. Next, I have the option to submit my driver's license information and my spouse's if I were filing married. Especially for clients without a tax filing history, the IRS may process returns and issue refunds faster if this information is submitted, and we recommend clients provide it if possible, but it is not required. If I don't have a driver's license or don't want to provide the information, I can skip this page. Finally, I'll agree to our terms on the last page, and I'll file. Just like that, I've filed my simplified return. GetCTC will alert me within a couple days whether my return has been accepted or rejected by the IRS. Most clients hear within a few hours. If my return was rejected, GetCTC will provide me with a plain language explanation of why, and allow me to log back in and resubmit my return. You can find GetCTC at getctc.org. For more resources about the CTC and stimulus payments, visit getctc.org/navigators.
Okay, great. Let me pull the training back up. Okay, so again, we'll share that in the follow-up email, so you have a link to that demo video as well, if you need to reference it in the future. So who might actually not file on getctc.org, but instead file a full tax return rather than the simplified filing? So if individuals make above the filing threshold and or eligible for additional money through full tax filing, so including the earned income tax credit, GetCTC may redirect them to its partner website. So somebody can go on GetCTC and they'll get redirected to getyourrefund.org. At the time of this recording, getyourrefund.org is actually closed for its actual services. I'll talk about what is available on the site right now. It will reopen for full services on January 31st of 2023. But so people who perhaps go on getctc.org get rerouted to Get Your Refund. What's available for them right now on Get Your Refund is the ability to identify a local VITA site through their VITA site locator located on the page. So people can put in their zip code and try to see if there's an available VITA site at this time, and schedule an appointment there. Many VITA sites are also closed at this time of the year. So we recommend always calling ahead of time before showing up to confirm, so that you can confirm that they're open and can assist. But in tax season, there are many more VITA sites. We still always recommend calling ahead of time for that as well. And if people do locate an open VITA site, married couples must go together. Both partners must go. When Get Your Refund reopens in January, there will be access to free do-it-yourself tax filing services, and also free virtual tax filing assistance, which includes an opportunity to discuss a person's tax situation with a tax specialist over the phone. There's a limited capacity to that, but when Get Your Refund is at its full capacity again, this will also be an option for individuals. So at this time right now, if somebody needs to do a full file return, their option is really to find either an open VITA site or a paid tax preparer until tax season relaunches next year. So also, I'm including these things in here as well for when tax season opens back up. AARP Foundation tax aid sites are another free resource for people to do and receive assistance in person and virtual to file their tax returns. They have a focus on individuals who are over 50 and have low to moderate incomes. But again, that's another option during tax season to send people to claim the credit. There's also the low income taxpayer clinics. These are currently available and open, and these can help families and individuals who have might have issues with custody in terms of who's claimed the child on the tax return. So, if you have a grandparent who has the child full-time, but perhaps a biological parent has claimed the credit, this is a place where they can go to get assistance and how to navigate that situation and figuring out how they can receive the funds. And since we are at a time where for anyone who does need to file a return and wants to file a return before the next tax season, they would and can't use getctc.org. Their main option, other than available VITA sites, is to find a paid tax preparer. We have a link here. We'll also share in the follow-up email on how to identify a reputable tax preparer so that they can receive the best help possible. It's a great list of about 10 questions to ask to make sure you're going to a reputable preparer that you're paying for services. And this is also just a checklist we have, and we'll include, it's in our toolkits, and we'll also include follow-up emails on what to share with clients on how to what to bring to an appointment. And briefly, we just want to go over some common barriers and concerns that come up around accessing the 2021 expanded CTC. So one of the main, these are common questions that come along. So first question would be, does receiving the CTC impact other public benefits? The answer to that is getting this credit will not change any federally funded public benefits that a family receives, like Social Security, SNAP, child care subsidies, or WIC. Will receiving the CTC affect someone's immigration status or ability to get a green card? The answer to that is also no. Under current law, receiving the child tax credit or other tax credits will not affect their immigration status, their ability to get a green card, or their future immigration plans. So use of the tax credits is not considered in a public charge determination by USCIS. Will the IRS share someone's immigration status with other government agencies? The answer to this is also no. The IRS is forbidden to share an individual's tax information with other agencies. There are limited exceptions around certain criminal investigations or to determine someone's tax liability. If anyone does present with falling into these exceptions categories, our recommendation is always to refer them to legal aid or immigration lawyers to handle their cases specifically. Can parents, caregivers claim the CTC using an ITIN? So yes, we talked about this earlier. Adults with Social Security numbers or ITINs can claim the CTC for children who have Social Security numbers. If they have a current ITIN, they can still file the claim to CTC and potentially other credits, and they can do this whether on getctc.org or by filing a full return. The biggest update in the post-tax season, the post-2022 tax season, is that unfortunately, if an individual or a family, both parents, never had an ITIN and did not apply for a tax filing extension before the end of the tax season, they can no longer claim the 2021 CTC. They can still apply for ITINs to file taxes and potentially claim credits in future years, but they can no longer claim, even with that 3-year look back from the IRS, they can no longer claim the CTC, the 2021 CTC. If they have an expired ITIN, though, they can still claim the 2021 CTC by submitting a Form W-7 to renew their ITIN and then filing a tax return. So we have a great link on this as well, also from the IRS. So expired ITINs, active ITINs can still claim the CTC in this post-tax season time, but individuals who did not have an ITIN by the end of the 2022 tax season can no longer claim that specific CTC from 2021, the expanded 2021 CTC. Will an individual ever have to pay this money back? So most importantly, the CTC is not a loan. If someone receives payments for a child who is no longer their dependent, they may have to pay that money back. And there are some protections for those with incomes below 40,000, 50,000 for heads of household, 60,000 for married couples, and more limited protections for those with incomes at these higher ranges listed on the screen. What if someone has not filed tax returns in recent years? So as we mentioned earlier, people with very low incomes are generally not required to file. Even if they were required to file, there's not a penalty if the IRS actually owes them a refund, perhaps from something like the EITC. Taxpayers can file for the 3 past years to receive the refunds, as we mentioned before. So if somebody has concerns about filing for the CTC because they owe child support or back taxes, they can benefit from claiming the CTC because the credit will essentially go towards paying off the outstanding child support or the taxes first, and they'll receive any amount left over. If all of it goes towards what is owed, that can reduce their debt and means that they'll be able to get credits in future years. And quickly, just IRS letter 6419. This is specifically for people who have to do full filing. The IRS sent everyone a letter 6419 showing how much they got for the CTC. If the amount listed on the letter doesn't match what a family received in advance CTC payments, they should check out their IRS online account. The link is there as well. We'll also share this for a more up-to-date amount and use that when filing tax returns. But they will need to present this letter if they received it. If they received advance payments at the end of 2021, they'll need to do this in claiming and filing for the CTC. So these are just some resources we want to share with you. These are links to toolkits where all of these resources we've listed are available. We also have our website up and running, childtaxcreditoutreach.org, where all of our toolkits are linked as well as any upcoming webinars, and our weekly blog posts on the CTC. And this is just the list of what's available in the toolkit. So we have all sorts of different ready-to-use materials that are editable and updated to use to share out information to families on the CTC. And if you have any questions, you can reach me at my email there. We will, as I mentioned, all of this will be put together. You'll get the slides, the recording, and all the links that I've shared in a follow-up email, but please reach out if you have any questions. And thank you for joining us today.